Okay. Hello, everybody who's tuning in from across the globe. My name is Nicole Banister, and I am the host of Started Up. And joining me here today is Nick Cotter, the 2022 GSEA champion, who then was also a judge on Started Up Season 2 after winning Season 1. And we're here to discuss all things Started Up Season 3. Nick, how are you?
I'm great, Nicole. Good evening here, but I suppose it's good morning where you're based at the moment, and good afternoon to all the rest of the time zones around the world. I'm conscious it's a global competition, but yeah, really good to be here and to catch up. It's been a while since the two of us chatted.
I know it has been a while indeed, but it's always a pleasure speaking to you. You were the winner of the very first season of Started Up. So, my first time being engaged with GSEA and with hosting the show. So, I have incredibly fond memories of you and your business. But we might have some folks here who are maybe just meeting you for the very first time. So, Nick, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business?
Yeah, of course. So Nick Cotter is my name, as you've introduced me. I'm from Ireland, in Limerick, which is in the southwest. I grew up on a family farm here, and I suppose a farm, I would always say, is one of the best places, I guess, for entrepreneurship to thrive. You're trying to solve problems on a daily basis, and farmers themselves are self-employed. So I guess inspired by being in that environment and having really encouraging parents, I started a number of businesses with my brother. Chief one that we work on at the moment is called Cotter Agri-Tech, which is focused on both hardware and software to solve a lot of the big challenges that we see in agriculture in terms of labor issues, in terms of, I suppose, reducing methane emissions to address climate change, water quality, drug resistance, and the overuse of antimicrobials. And these are a lot of the big challenges, I suppose, as a globe that we face over the next 20 or 30 years. So that's what we work on at the moment, and we operate across Ireland, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand at the moment. And that's the business that I pitched at GSEA, and very, very lucky to come out on top in my particular year.
Nick, I love that your business and your work is at the intersection of so many things. It's climate change and sustainability, it's entrepreneurship, it's global citizenship, you working in so many different country contexts. And I have to say, I don't think you were working in so many countries when we first met back in 2022. So maybe you can share a little bit about what the journey has been like and what the experience has been since winning the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards and winning Started Up Season 1 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I suppose GSEA is a huge platform, and it's a testament to the people behind it, including yourself as well, for presenting it so well, and for showcasing the competition. And I think at this point the competition gets 4 or 5 or 6 million eyeballs every year at this stage. So as it goes, for anyone who is really under the age of, I guess, 25, you can have mature students as well. So anyone who's in college, it is the premier competition, and it really is the pinnacle of entrepreneurship for people who are college going age. So that platform was a huge boost. It opened up a lot of doors for us. So at the time in 2022, we were operating in Ireland and the UK in our home markets, and through the coverage in GSEA and the coverage afterwards, we found our way in with Beef and Lamb New Zealand, which would be the chief farming organisation over there. And they funded our trials now of our software, which identifies parasitism in sheep and also in cattle, which we're moving into to try to reduce drugs to only basically giving them to the animals that actually need it, whereas current practice would be to treat all the animals, because the diagnostic tools just aren't as practical as they need to be. So we've spent the last 2 years in New Zealand now and chasing a commercial launch there at the start of next year. And we're just breaking into Australia now as well. And they're really lucrative markets. And I suppose we're looking at possibly raising money at the end of this year. So having that international footprint, I suppose, is really important. And the fact that this is so much potential. We're really great to meet so many interesting people, I suppose, along the way, and see that something we've come up with on the home farm here in Ireland is proving to be of great value to farmers all around the world.
Your business is just growing and scaling exponentially, and it's so inspiring, really, to see, how far you've come and how much you've grown, even in just a couple of years. We were back together even last year after having won Started Up season 1 and won GSEA 2022. You came back as a judge in the following year, and so to even hear about the scale and the way that you are working to solve these incredibly huge issues across the agricultural space, like you said, identifying parasitism in these animals and being able to create solutions where we're not just max vaccinating all of the animals, but also just being more targeted, being more specific, which is going to help with immune resistance and all that sort of thing. I mean, this is incredibly important work. Can you tell us a little bit, Nick, about what does success look like for you in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, or what is the goal?
It's a good question. I suppose it's trying to maximize the opportunity. I think as someone who's been involved in entrepreneurship since I was a young teenager, we've done more simple businesses with direct selling produce off the farm at home. And then I suppose I got as far as college, and I think people who are self-employed are possibly people who are somewhat dissatisfied with the world in a very, I suppose, positive way, and feel that they have something to contribute, and probably trying to put themselves at as high a purpose as possible from a social or an environmental, in terms of just trying to leave the world in a better place than it was before they got here. And for me, I suppose we've got a product that has the potential to forever change how livestock are medicated, not just sheep, but also cattle, goats. There are different sectors that will look to expand into over the coming years. So I suppose it's trying to capitalize on that as far as possible. I'm not someone to have such a massive ego that world domination or whatever is the plan. I think life is all about balance as well, and it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs really don't get well. I didn't do it well at the start in terms of just being hyper focused on the growth element. You have to mix in the other areas of life, your personal life, your partner, socializing with friends, and a bit of your own personal time too. So I suppose what would be success for me is trying to capitalize on the opportunity, but also trying to maintain that balance in my life at the same time. But we're finding the right partners, and I think that's why entering competitions like GSEA and getting your name out there is so important, because you can find those really critical people who will help you get to where you want to go. We couldn't do what we're doing in New Zealand. I mean, there's 13 hours of a time difference. It's just not possible to do it without a local team there to do it. And we're just really lucky that we've found those individuals. And every business will have those people. Not everyone you meet is going to be enthusiastic about what you do. There will be loads of no's, and there'll be more no's than there will be yeses. But there always is a community out there of people just like you who are really bought into what you're doing, and that's really helped. So those people, putting them in place are going to help us scale this business across. I suppose the focus is Ireland, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. They're massive markets from the sheep point of view, so I want to capitalize on them and get really good market penetration, and that'll take a bit of time, because it's a huge behavior change for farmers to move from treating everything like we've done for the last really 70 or 80 years since the advent of these drugs in the 50s, to now needing to move to a more targeted model so that we maintain the efficacy of these drugs, which is absolutely crucial from a sustainability point of view, economically for farmers, so that they can treat these illnesses in sheep and in livestock, but also from a sustainability point of view, because if you can treat in a more timely fashion, you're reducing the carbon footprint associated with producing that meat. Big agriculture is getting a fair amount of focus from a climate change point of view, and probably a disproportionate focus. I think you get to about the third sentence from climate change, and agriculture becomes the focus. We probably need to look at areas like transport, heating a bit more, but nonetheless, agriculture needs to play its role. And I think this is just one part of the broad toolkit of agricultural technology that farmers can deploy to be more efficient and to address those challenges and maintain our social license to continue farming with the public's permission.
Nick, one of the things that you just said that really resonates with me is behavior change. And I think for me personally, since engaging with the GSEA community and with the EO, the entrepreneurs organization community writ large, it really is this idea of entrepreneurship as impact, which I think when I first came into this, and when I first started meeting all of you phenomenal entrepreneurs, that's not necessarily how I looked at startups. That's not necessarily how I looked at the entrepreneurial community. But at the end of the day, what you said just now around trying to create that behavior change so that we can have and create the future that we are so looking forward to. And, entrepreneurs being the folks who are simply dissatisfied with the world in the way that it currently is, and trying to change it and make it better and make it more meaningful for people, literally making the planet more livable for our grandchildren, right? It's incredibly exciting and important to hear about the work that you're doing and all of your peers, across GSEA, across Ireland, and across the world. And I have to say that we are on the cusp of Started Up Season 3 being released in the coming weeks and months, where a number of incredible young entrepreneurs, just like you a couple years back, are going to be sharing their businesses. It was incredibly exciting to watch you in the very first season of the show, and then again in the second season as a judge. Can you speak to us a little bit about what it was like to kind of be on the opposite side of the table as a judge last season, where you didn't have to be the one pitching and worrying about whether or not you were going to move forward, but actually just being able to sort of evaluate and assess and ask critical questions to other young people who had been in your same position the year prior?
Yeah, I'll admit that possibly the second year judging was just as good, if not better, than the first year. I suppose the first year we were in the COVID era, so we were pitching at home, just like we're doing right now through the camera, and trying to build a connection with the judges was difficult. I suppose the other thing is I had envy of the other people who got to go to Cape Town when they were pitching, and that's just a really cool experience. It's not often you get to go on an all expenses paid trip for your business, and it's hugely exciting and validation, I suppose, of young entrepreneurs to get that opportunity and get to meet each other. It's cool. So getting to go to Cape Town myself, really enjoyed it. I think what I was looking for, and I'll probably say this to anyone who's thinking about GSEA maybe for next year, or any of this year's participants who are looking for a bit of advice. What I was looking for was probably a slick presentation, first of all. I think good communication is an underrated skill. It's not something that we focus on enough as startups. We're often obsessed about the idea, but we forget that we can only bring people along with us if we are able to convince them to buy into our idea, and ultimately customers who will make sure that there's a few bob in the bank to keep the whole thing going. So I wanted someone who was going to make it really easy for me to say yes, that I didn't have to work too hard to understand what they do, and to see that passion for entrepreneurship. The second thing, I suppose, was I wanted to get a feeling about someone that they would, in 5 years' time, still be at entrepreneurship. There is little point in GSEA backing an individual, putting that amount of money in their pocket and giving them this opportunity for exposure, if they're going to spend the money going on holidays and drinking it down at the pub. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing a certain amount of it. I definitely be doing it, and I did do it myself the night of the celebrations. But you need to have good purpose with those funds, and we as judges
Right.
need to feel we can trust you, and that you're still going to be at this in 5 years' time. And then I suppose the last area would be a bit like our business. It's probably that feeling that this person is intelligent enough to identify what is the biggest purpose they can put themselves to. I'm not knocking businesses that maybe aren't bought into solving climate change or some of the big crises. There's perfectly good businesses out there who will make loads of money working on simpler problems. But if the person has the opportunity to contribute to these bigger things, I'd like to see them doing it, because we all should be aiming to be working at the highest purpose we can. So they're kind of the three things that I was looking for. And I saw that, I suppose, in David Hodgson, who ended up winning the year with Hollow Medical, which is an improved device, I suppose, for the delivery of medication for people who are asthmatic. And as someone who was asthmatic myself as a child, you can totally see the value in it and how that's scalable. And he really ticked all of those boxes. So I would expect, like, not only was that my judging criteria, but I felt I was judged on that criteria at the time, and that is the ethos of GSEA. So I would like to, I would be expecting that the winner of GSEA this year that we'll see in season 3 will probably have the same qualities. Personally, I'm aware that Chloe Gardner, who is Ireland's representative, has got as far as the semi-finals, so a bit of my patriotism is coming through, and I really would like to see her win and have another Irish winner coming through, and that really helps us build the GSEA community here of young entrepreneurs as well, to get that exposure and that light on some of the great work that goes on here in Ireland, in our little country, and putting it on the map.
Ireland is certainly on the map. It was an absolutely tremendous experience to meet Chloe and to hear more about her business. I can't give any spoilers here on this live stream, but you'll just have to tune in to watch Started Up season 3 when it does come out. And I have to say, Nick, I hope that everybody who is even considering or thinking about the GSEA competition is watching this. What you just shared from your judging experience and what you're looking for is not only sort of invaluable information for those competing in GSEA, but I think for many young entrepreneurs who are starting to put together their pitches, starting to go out and look for funding, starting to scale their brand awareness, and just share what they're passionate about, what their purpose is with the world. So this was incredibly valuable and thoughtful insights that you just gave us here. Nick, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about GSEA, about Started Up, or about your entrepreneurial journey before we close out this live today?
Yeah, just want to extend the handout that if anyone is considering applying for next year, or even just wants some help putting together a business pitch, or looking for just a head to bounce things off, the best advice I ever got was from my granddad, and he said the 2 heads are better than 1, even if the other is a cabbage. So I'm always here. DMs are open. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. So just give me a bell. More than happy to help out. And I have helped out a lot of people who've moved through the GSEA process this year. Look, it's all about trying to help us all, I suppose, get better at what we do. And if I can contribute in any way, I'd be more than happy to. So the DMs are open. Just ask.
Nick's DMs are open. Don't forget it, everybody. Nick Cotter, the 2022 GSEA World Champion, featured on Started Up Season 1 as well as Started Up Season 2. I am your host, Nicole Banister. We've got Season 3 of Started Up coming out in just a couple of weeks and months. It's going to be streaming. It's going to be available not only on streaming platforms, but on YouTube as well. We've had a bit of a shift in the release date, so don't worry about that. We're going to be sharing all the information here on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe at EO_GSEA, and you can also follow along on Instagram as well. Exact same handle at EO_GSEA. Nick, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, my friend. I think we have many more years to go of this whole GSEA and EO experience. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. And thank you for the incredible work that you're doing across the agricultural, sustainability, and climate change sectors. It's really so incredibly inspiring, and we'll be following along your journey every step of the way.
It's been a pleasure, Nicole. Best of luck. Enjoy the well-earned rest after all the filming for the season, and look forward to seeing you next year as well in Started Up Season 4.
Definitely. Thanks, Nick. And thank you so much to everyone who's tuned into this live stream, or if you're watching the rerun, we appreciate you for being here. Started Up Season 3 premiering very soon. Bye, Nick.
Bye, Nicole. Thanks for watching, guys.